And we are back with the fifth and the final segment of the GSMC Sports Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this final segment, we are going to be talking about my expectations for this matchup between the Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, as you guys might know, being a Giants fan and all, I despise both of these teams. I wish this game can end in a tie, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. The Eagles, they're going to be playing at home, primetime game at home. Immediately, automatically, the Eagles, they have an advantage. Because again, this is a primetime game, and they're going to be playing in their dome. They're going to be chanting that annoying song that I just cannot stand. And Jalen Hurts, he's been playing really well so far recently in these games. He completely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys. Love it. I'm going to say it again. The Eagles completely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys. And let's see. In the other game that they ended up playing, I mean, they kind of had to put up a fight against Jacksonville. And Jacksonville, well, they're a horrible team, actually, with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence threw 2 interceptions in that game. But Jalen Hurts has been very, very consistent. Getting a touchdown on the ground, getting 2 touchdowns in the air, and he also had help from Saquon Barkley. Just imagine if the Giants had a running back as good as Saquon Barkley. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Sadness, and more sadness. They also ended up scoring 37 points on the Bengals in a huge win, and I mean, when they have Barkley playing as good as he's been playing, they're a very, very tough team to beat. And, I mean, they also completely wrecked the Giants the last time they played, only allowing 3 points. That was absolutely embarrassing, and that was, very sad. I wanted to crawl up into a ball, and I never wanted to go out and see the light of day after that. But after that win against the Giants, I don't know what it was, but it's we must have been like a shot of sniffing salt for the Eagles, because after they completely beat us, they were like, hey, we're the Eagles, we should be doing this every single time, and they've been doing it every single time. And now that they have home field advantage in this matchup, I think that this will give them the slight little edge. Now, on Washington's side, they're coming off of a brutal loss to the Steelers. Now, whether you think the refs messed up the call or whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily matter. They ended up losing. However, they've been on a ridiculous tear so far in this season. I mean, Jaden Daniels has been phenomenal. As a rookie, he's been fantastic, right? Arguably the best offensive rookie in this entire draft class. And if Malik Neighbors wasn't a rookie, but the fact that he has Daniel Jones as a quarterback, really, there's nothing that can be done about that. But again, really, the only, how should I say this? The only real issue for the Commanders, at least in my opinion, is that they have yet to get a win against a good team. Let's go ahead and look at their win and at their records and who they've played. So they lost to the Bucks. The Bucks are a pretty solid team, but they beat the Giants. Giants are bad. They beat the Bengals. At this point, the Bengals were really bad, and they were 0-3 at this point. And their defense is also atrocious. And they ended up beating the Cardinals, which at this point were also rather atrocious. And their defense to start out the season was really, really bad. Now their defense has been much better so far. But again, at this point, they weren't that good of a team. The Browns, bad team. Ravens, actually a competent team, and they ended up losing. Panthers, bad team. Of course, they end up beating them. The Bears, another bad team. They ended up beating them. The Giants, another bad team. They ended up beating them. And then the Steelers, a competent team. So when it comes to the Eagles going and facing them on the road, I don't think they're going to end up winning this matchup, mainly because so far most of their wins have come against less than mediocre defenses and less than mediocre teams overall. And really, it's the point in time that's really important with a lot of these teams. Because, again, as I mentioned before, the Cardinals at that point, their defense was not that good. And the Bengals at that point, not only was their defense not that good, but their team was also a little meh. There was no real it was really just Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And it kind of still is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but they still figuring out ways to win despite their defense being meh. But aside from that, again, we're talking about time and place. Right now, this time, the Eagles are dominating so far in these games. And place. The Eagles are going to be playing at home in that terrible stadium and screaming their fight song, which is just blech, I can't stand it. But aside from that, time and place, I think the Eagles have a much better advantage to win in this matchup. And this is for the division, by the way. I should have mentioned that before. This is for the division. Whichever team ends up coming out on top is going to be on top of the entire division standings in the NFC East. So this is very significant. This is a very important game. I have no doubt that, all of the Eagles fans that go to my college are going to be watching this game, screaming at the TV. And I don't know if there's any sort of Commanders fans out there, but, we'll see how it goes. But that's all that I really have to say about this final segment. Again, sadly, I wish all of these games can end in a tie. I wish that both of these games ended in a tie and I never have to pick them ever again and they just cease to exist. But unfortunately, I have to pick one team to win the game, and I think that team is going to be the Eagles. So, unfortunately, the Birds, bleh. But aside from that, that's all that I have to say about this segment, and that is it for the show. So thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Sports Podcast, Sports Podcast. I keep messing that up. Sorry about that, but your support means a lot to us, so remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. As usual, we love to hear what you guys have to say during the show, whether you have a hot take, whether you have a burning question, whether you have anything that you're dying to share. We're all ears. If you use Super Chat, you just click on the $ below the chat box, or you can use the link displayed below the ticker, gsmcpodcast.net, and you can send in your comments and donations that way. Either or really help the show. That's all that I have to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.